We're happy to have Tom DeRocher. Did I even say that right? Should I start
You're
this
good.
again? Okay. We're happy to have Tom DeRocher from Digigames joining us today to introduce the integration between his software, Trivia Board 5, and the Trainer's Warehouse Me First buzzer system. So, a little bit of background. Tom and I, we figured we've probably been working together for 10 or maybe even a dozen years, perhaps more than that, where we've tried to collaborate on bringing software and buzzers together. Tom has also developed buzzers on his own and uses some of the electronics from Me First in his buzzers. His buzzer systems, which can be as sort of understated as the Me First buzzers, or can be as flashy as buzzer systems used on TV game shows. Some of his electronics have been seen on Extreme Home Makeover, The Doctors, the National History Bee, and MTV's The Substitute. So together, we're kind of bringing game show fun to a lot of different environments, both in those public spheres and also in classrooms, training rooms, all over the place. So with that, Tom, why don't you take it away?
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Sue. Appreciate that. Yeah, we've enjoyed working with Trainers Warehouse for a long time. It's 10, 12 years, somewhere in that area. And we've been, over the years, just very, very impressed with the Me First buzzers. We've literally bought thousands of these over the years. And we've been happy with them. But it's not our opinion that matters. It's our customer's opinion that matters. And when the customer gets the product, they're just ecstatic. They just absolutely, we get nothing but solid, excellent feedback from our customers. And it's just been great. And the support is, having the product is one thing,
Oh,
but
enough about us. Show us how it works.
okay. Well, the
But we
support is
thank
great.
you. We're
I'll leave
good.
it at that. All right, excellent. Excuse me. That's great. So the Me First buzzer systems, if you're familiar with this product, you probably already know that it works as standalone, and that's what makes this an amazing product. Is when a player rings in, it flashes, it lights up, people can see who buzzed in first. So by contrast, player number 2 did not buzz in first, and so whoever's moderating the game show can visibly see that, and then they can reset the buzzer system for subsequent questions. If they get it wrong, they're locked out from ringing in again, which is really nice because then other players have an opportunity then to answer the question. And so you progress through the game, and whoever gets the most amount of points is the winner. It's just a fun way to introduce trivia into a wide variety of environments, whether it's for academic, for employee training, public education events. Our customer base is more of the entertainment field, such as fairgrounds, disc jockeys, bowling alleys, cruise ships, all different types of industries where entertainment is the focus, tend to purchase our buzzers. So Trainers Warehouse last year added a new feature which really changed a lot for us, or it's in the progress of changing a lot for us. They added a USB port to the facilitator unit. And so why would they add a USB port to that? Well, that's so that the buzzers can integrate with a computer, and thereby, by extension, we can develop software then that interacts with the hardware. And this is a really great advantage because now, instead of just manually keeping track of scores or just visually seeing who buzzed in first, that can pop up on the big screen, the scores, the players' names, who's got how many points. So this is true to life. This is true to like how Jeopardy on TV would function, where a player buzzes in, you see the questions, you see who rang in, you can see the scores, you got the double Jeopardy questions, the final Jeopardy questions, things of that nature that make that type of question and answer session really exciting and fun. And the cool thing about Jeopardy is it requires no explanation. Everybody knows Jeopardy. Everybody knows the rules of Jeopardy. You don't have to explain rules to a whole new game. And so we've adapted this technology from Trainers Warehouse, not only into our Jeopardy game, but also into our Family Feud game, Wheel of Fortune. We have a cool Hollywood Squares game, which is like a tic-tac-toe based, trivia-based tic-tac-toe game. So it's just all offering our customers a wide variety of options, letting them being able to put in audio clips for Name That Tune or put in pictures. Those just add excitement to the game. And for pictures, it's really nice if you have a picture of a president or a cartoon character or a country flag. People buzz in to guess who the president is or the cartoon character is. And so this just adds.
Should we do a screen share and see it in action?
You bet. Absolutely. So let me enable that here, and I will click screen share, select the software, and share. Now everybody should on your side see a game show that I loaded in. This is Trivia Board Pro 5. It's a new program that we've just developed. It's soon to replace Trivia Board Pro 4. Has a lot more aesthetic eye appeal in this version of the program. And as I hit
Tom, I'm going to interrupt just one more time and welcome people. If they have questions, we haven't turned off people's speakers, but if they don't want to interrupt you, but they have a question, I'll be monitoring the meeting chat. So feel free, folks, to just write in questions if you need Tom to back up or clarify anything along the way.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate that, Susan. Great. Yeah, so questions are definitely appreciated. So I could sit here and talk about how great everything is, but it's your feedback, your thoughts, your questions that's really going to help make this an exciting meeting for everyone involved. Great. So this is a Trivia Board Pro 5, and I'm just going to click the play button here. And just like on Jeopardy on TV, the categories are announced. So the first category is phrases, then we got movies, then the next category is animals. The fourth category is world history. And the fifth category is tales and rhymes. And then the sixth category is miscellaneous. And it's up to you if you want to do that. You can skip that introduction, but most people like to announce the category so the players know what they're going to be playing with. And you might look at that and say, well, that's those are pretty colors, but it's too much pink for me. So we have a game board appearance function where we can actually change the color scheme. You can set those to whatever you want. There, I just changed it to green. If you're doing something, say during the 4th of July, you might use like a red, white, and blue theme. But those are some of the features, aesthetic features of Trivia Board, where you can customize the colors to befit the occasion. And on your screen, you see all the controls, you see everything. So if you're familiar with making use of a dual monitor system where you plug in a projector or a whiteboard into a computer, the moderator has a screen that contains components that you don't want the audience to see. So we make good use of that with Trivia Board in that you're going to see the questions, the answers, you're going to see all the controls, but the audience doesn't see that. They only see the questions, the scores, and timers, and things of that nature. So we're making use of a dual screen type situation. As far as I know, we're the only trivia software company that is doing that, where we make use of dual monitor support. I could be wrong on that, but as far as I know, that is the case. So I'll bring up a question here. So phrases for 100 points. The question is, someone who raises false alarms is said to cry what? Now on your screen at the very top, you can see that the answer is wolf. This is nice because you don't have to memorize the answers because it's right there on the screen for you. But don't be alarmed by that, because when you connect a projector or whiteboard or an external monitor to the software, that is not going to show up. You don't want to give the players the answer. And I'll ring in a player. And in this case, player 2 rang in first. You can see the software acknowledged player 2 rang in first, the score lit up. And let's just say that the player answers wolf. So at that point on the facilitator pad, you click reset, and there it displays the answer to the audience. And now you will see that player 2 has 100 points because they answered the question successfully. We'll repeat that again for the next category here. What is the 1996 film Twister about? Again, you don't have to memorize the answer. It's right there on the screen at the top. Tornado is the answer. And so player 2 rings in again, and let's just say they get it wrong. So we hit continue, and now you see that the 100 points that they earned in the previous question is taken away, and they're at 0. And you can disable that too. I always recommend not taking points away like they do on Jeopardy. They take points away on incorrect answers, especially if you're doing trivia with young people, children. Don't take points away from them. If they answer wrong, commend them for giving it a good try and let other players ring in. So let's let another player ring in. So in this case, player 1 rang in. This player says tornado, gets it right. You hit the button on the facilitator pad, and they now have 100 points.
It's like he's out of town. Well,
And so just like Jeopardy on TV, you repeat this process, do other questions. There's daily doubles in there where people can wager points. They get a chance to double their score if they get it right. And so this plays out till you get to the end, and whoever has the highest score at the end is the winner. And the cool thing about Trivia Board as well, you can put your own questions and answers into the software. So you can open the editor button. You can see that here on the upper right-hand side. And from there, you can create a new round of trivia.
Linda just told me about this.
Okay,
I think that we're having some interference with someone who has their mic that needs to be turned off.
yeah, that's okay. See screen share. And I'll show.
Thanks. So the other thing to point out is that Tom was pressing those buzzers, and automatically the software knew who buzzed in. So that's kind of the core of what happened. And he set that up before he started playing with that TM 125 system in the top navigation, where he was able to basically match his team 1, player 2, and so forth to the specific buzzers that are being used. And you do that at the beginning of the game, and then you're set for the integration to work pretty seamlessly, as he just showed.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sue. Appreciate you bringing that out. So yeah, when you get your buzzer system in, you just tell the software which ones you want to be player 1, which one you want to be player 2, player 3. And what's cool is you can have multiple buzzers be player 1. So you can have 5 buzzers that ring in as player 1, 5 buzzers that ring in as player 2. And you might say, well, why might I do that? Well, let's just say you're doing a show where it's bridesmaids against groomsmen. So you're doing now a team effort where any of the bridesmaids can buzz in and represent their team. Or say if you're doing guys against gals, or
a leadership, like different, within, you've got your marketing team versus the sales team versus the finance. So maybe you have separate teams within your training situation where they can work together.
Great. Yeah, I've done a lot of shows where I did employees against management, and it's pretty fun when the employees win over the management. So when it turns out the employees know more about the company than the management, it's like, how does that happen? But sometimes they do.
So can you group a couple of buzzers together as one team, or you just know that you combine their points at the end?
Yeah, the software manages all that. So you would switch over into 2-player mode, and let's see if Zoom will capture this screen here. Oh,
Yep, we're on screen share right now.
Okay, let me end the game. Okay, all right, there we go. Yep, the side panel did. So from here, you can set your number of contestants. So right now I'm set to 10 contestants. So in that scenario, we can switch down to 2. So in this case, now we're in the 2-player mode. And this is ideal when you're doing employees against management, or guys against gals, anything like that. And then you can group your buzzers. So in the TM125 system, here's where you map your players. And here's where you can assign which buzzers ring in as player one, which buzzers will ring in as player two. And it will map those buzzers accordingly for team or group type challenges.
Great. What is the recommended audience size, Annette is asking? And Annette, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any follow-up with that as well.
Sure.
Actually, I do. I'm glad that you let me do that. but you know, I train different sizes, but my groups tend to be quite large. So I've done this. It works great with smaller audiences. It seems I tend to group people and have group kind of buzz in. I've done that. Not done it with a software like that, but I was curious in terms of I've always liked these game show kind of things, but what's the recommended size to make sure that a facilitator can manage that accurately? What would you say?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I've been a DJ before I started the Digigames company. I was a DJ for about 22 years. So I've been in all different types of environments, small group where it was just maybe 10, 15 people that showed up to a particular event, and all the way up to hundreds of people. And as long as they're having fun, as long as you make it enjoyable for everyone, the only thing that adjusts for me when it gets really large is I might bring the contestants up onto the stage with me. I'll set out tables that contestants stand at to buzz in, and that way they're with me. They're performing a game show in front of the audience. In a smaller group type scenario, I might put the buzzers out on the tables and let the audience play from their tables, from the comfort of their tables. A lot of times I've done it a mix of both, where especially like a corporate event where there's hundreds of people there. So I might put out one buzzer at a table of 10 and just pass those out. And then I'll do elimination style. And then when I get, after a couple of rounds of trivia, I get down to one table of 10 people, and then I'll bring those 10 people up onto the stage with me. And now I'm doing trivia with what I call like the smartest table or the smartest group. And then they now are, instead of working as a team, they're now competing to be the grand prize winners at the end of the night.
I think also, Annette, I've heard Dan from Game Show Pro is joining us too, and he'll be speaking with us in a couple of weeks about the Game Show Pro integration with Me First. But I've kind of learned from him also that minimizing the number of teams to like 4 or 5, maybe 6, is better than having everyone try to accumulate points, because if you can't get to be that first one to be buzzing in, it gets kind of frustrating. So you can accommodate a lot more players if you do set them up in teams and they feel like they're all participating that way. Which brings me to a question that Pat just put in. And if you can go back to that setup screen, Tom, because the question is, how do you go about putting multiple players on one team? So would you change, like, can player number, do you have 2 number one with those serial numbers for each buzzer? Like, how do you map that? And Pat, feel free to unmute if I didn't get that question quite right.
Right, yes, and that is a good question here. Let's see. Can you see this? Yeah, you can.
Yep, we're seeing it.
Okay. So yes, and let me locate this here. Yeah, so what you can do is you can route your players. So in our map players section, here's where you can assign where you program in your buzzers, and then it gives it an ID number, and then from here, bear with me 1 second.
I wonder if we should, like, turn them off, turn them on, and just see how you would actually do that. Does that make sense, or is that too, is that gonna kind of mess you up?
Sure, let me,
Hey, Susan, while he's doing that, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
When you hit the buzzard, let's say you have 5 buzzards to your point, right? You have 5 buzzards.
Mhm.
Once somebody hits the one buzzard, the other ones just go blank, right? Or my
They go
understanding?
so the ready state is they're all sort of this yellowish orange color. As soon as someone hits one, their buzzer goes green and everyone else goes red.
Okay, that's helpful.
Okay.
Okay,
And then
thanks.
when you hit reset, it brings all of the buzzers back to the ready state, to the yellow.
Okay, and back to the buzzards. How far of a distance does that mean the buzzards need to be from your facilitator one?
They can be as close as inches and they can be as far as like 80 feet.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Sorry, it's
And
Pat. I
then
had
we
trouble
also-
unmuting myself there. So my question actually was where he had the, I guess, serial numbers of the buzzers on
Yeah.
the lines 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you, if you have 5 buzzards for line number 1, do you just put the serial numbers all together on line number 1, just separate them by commas? That was the question.
That's what I think he's gonna try to demo for us right now.
Okay.
Is that,
yeah, I'm trying to find, yeah, we have a routing tab. It's in the options, and that's where. Okay, and again, this program's very new.
okay, so the answer might be yes, but I can't show you right this minute because
Yes.
it's so new. But
Yes,
we'll have the guide to make it easy to do that.
yes, yep. There's a
You're
tab
good,
that's,
Susan. You're really good.
yes, yep. There's a tab that's supposed to be here that isn't, and I can see the edge of it right here. So it's just a screen resolution thing, and I apologize. Very
Okay,
embarrassing. But in there, it's a TM routing tab, and what the tab does is it says player 1 rings in as player 1, player 2 rings in as player 2, player 3 rings in as player 3, player 4 rings in as player 4, and so on. But what you do is you override that. You say player 1 rings in as 1, player 2 rings in as 1, player 3 rings in as 1, player 4 rings in as 1. So you
That's
can
even
route,
better. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
even
can,
easier. Great.
yep. So we'll fix this right away, like today. But why the tab's not visible right now? But yeah, you just say I want this group of buzzers 1 through 4 to ring in as player 1, and then buzzers 5 through 8 ring in as player 2. So that'll be in the file, and that'll just be right here, file, and then options, and then
Okay.
that's where you'll see the TM routing tab for routing various buzzers. Now, I'm sure my programmers are going to say, no, it was right there. You're just missing it, Tom, which that's happened many times.
no worries. Other questions that folks have or experiences that they want to share?
I was curious again about the buzzards. Do they make sound? Do they vibrate? Anything like that that I would like to know?
Yeah,
They
do.
do make a sound. The sound has when you press the sound button, and I'm going to show you this right here. Actually, okay, so here is a close-up of the buzzer. It's not turned on right now, but you'll see sound has there's an on-off for the sound, but it also you can go from like a loud beep 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 to a gentler to a softer. So there's like 3 levels of sound. So it can either be on or off. And when the player pad lights up as green, the facilitator pad will also go green, so you'll know that somebody buzzed in. So if you're using these without software, you will see, you know, if the room is loud and you can't hear the sound indicator from the buzzer, you will still be able to, you know, to hear it. And let me just see. I'm gonna I have a couple of these here. I'll see if I can let you hear the sound. I think I need another one before we do that.
Yep, if you want me to do that, Sue, I can try.
Mine is not.
Can you hear this?
Very faintly, Thomas, very faintly. Yeah.
Yes, it's loud on my side. It's a very loud, good, robust sound. Just Zoom has its background noise filters, so you can't really hear it because of the Zoom filters. And the software also generates sound effects too. So if you plug speakers into your laptop, you can use the software's sound effects as well.
Yep. Other questions, experiences to share, concerns, questions about facilitation?
What other games can you play with it? I know you've done trivia, but are there other games that you can purchase to do the same kind of thing with other games? I'm not really a big trivia person, so what other games are offered?
Well, so also, just to be clear, a lot of trainers use this not just for trivia, but to put their own questions in that are specific to their corporate training, teaching goals. So just to be clear about that, and on top of it, Tom, I'll let you explain the other games that it works with.
Sure, yeah. So the purchase of a trivia board includes 3 additional games that are automatically included, and that's Trivia Feud, which is a Family Feud based type game. And you're probably familiar with the show. 100 people surveyed, select the top answer that 100 people surveyed guessed for the answer to the question. Then we have Wheel of Fortune, which we call Trivia Fortune. And so people press the buzzers to spin a wheel, so to speak, and then they guess letters in a hidden phrase, just like Wheel of Fortune on TV. And then Hollywood Squares, which is a trivia-based tic-tac-toe game. And within those games, you can put in, like in Trivia Board and in Trivia Squares, you can put in audio clips, video clips, multimedia files, which is handy for doing name that tune, name that video, name that picture. So there's a lot of variations of different games that you can do within those 4 games that are supplied.
And on top of that, I'll also mention, so Digigames is one software program that Me First works with. And as I mentioned earlier, Game Show Pro is another, and they have 3 games. Dan, I don't know if you're still on the call, that also work with it. They each have kind of different features, different price points. We'll be sharing information about that as well, but wanted to kind of focus on Tom's software integrations for today's meeting. Another question, let's see. What happens if you do not have dual monitors?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. So in that case, and it's happened to me where I forgot a projector at home or a projector, there was a malfunction with the projector. That's extraordinarily rare, but that's happened. But in a single monitor support, I'll read the questions. I'll kind of guide the audience as to where things are at. You don't get that visual appeal if you don't connect something to it. What I have done, I had a laptop one time years ago that it didn't have a secondary video port. It only cloned what you see on the desktop. So what I just did, I went into the TV settings and I just zoomed in on the game board so that the audience wasn't looking at the controls or the answers. So TVs generally have a zoom or magnify function. Projectors definitely do, where you can zoom in on an area of the screen and then you can still do your games that way.
But you'd need to have your answers kind of printed out. so that you're not having to look at the screen for them. Right?
But in that scenario, I still will have the answers on the screen. So I'll be able to see that, but I'll just make sure that the audience doesn't see that area of the screen just by zooming in with the whatever device I have connected to the laptop at that time.
Got it. Got it. And my colleague Sarah also put in a reminder here that we do have a lot of resources on our website. We just added frequently asked questions for buzzers, and that will give you a little bit more information about the buzzer systems, not necessarily so specifically about the software. And we also have some video demos of those products. Tom, I think you also have trial versions of your software and some demos that will be put together. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. So anybody can download the software, try it out. It'll work with the buzzers in a demo mode.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you, Tom, for being with us and sharing all of this. We will
Thank
hang
you.
on the phone for another, or on the Zoom for another bit in case there are additional questions. But we're at our half-hour mark, and I want to just thank everyone for joining. And again, feel free to hang on the phone, but a formal thank you at this point, because this is where our recording will end.